Classy Chloe. Today we're going to be talking about Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life. This is a complete spoiler. If you haven't seen it already, it was amazing. Please go and watch it. Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life is 4 new movies based on the original TV show. Each episode of Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life takes place over the course of one season. So there's 4, one for each season. It starts with winter. It goes to spring, summer, and fall. It just premiered on Friday, November 24th on Netflix. Each movie is an hour and a half long, so that's 6 hours of watching. I sat on my couch and I watched this show. That's how good it was. But I love the original show. The original show was amazing. I've been a huge fan since it came out. So I'm going to share my likes and dislikes of this new one. They're mostly likes. I loved it all. So we'll start with winter. I love that Luke and Lorelai are back together. At the end of season 7, Luke and Lorelai are broken up, and then you kind of think, are they gonna get back together? And in this new show, they're totally back together, and it's so adorable. They've been together for 9 years, steadily. In the original TV show at Luke's Diner, there are no cell phones allowed. Well, in this new show, electronics are allowed in Luke's Deli, except he gives out fake passwords for the Wi-Fi. Electronics have taken over, but he hates them. For example, he gives out Diner Luke's, capital D, capital L, or Waffle House Butter Bob with capital B on butter. They're so funny. And none of them are correct. The dialogue is super witty and colorful and creative, just like the original dialogue. Hep Alien is still together. Lane and Zach, Brian, and what's his name? I can't think of his name. They're all together and the original actors and everything. That was so fun to see. At one point, Emily, the grandmother, wears jeans. Emily never wears jeans. Emily always wearing either a dress or a skirt or something ladylike. Another thing about Emily that I really liked is that in the original show, she was always changing maids. She could never hold the same one. She has, of course, a new maid, and it's a new actress, but Emily does not know which language she's speaking. So she's just speaking this language and no one knows what it is. And then eventually her children move in and her husband moves in and her whole family's living with Emily. But she keeps it through all 4 new movies. Kirk and Lulu are together and they wanted to have a baby, and so the whole town of Stars Hollow chipped in and bought them a pig whose name is Petal. Things I don't like. Rory has 2 boyfriends. She has this boyfriend named Paul who lives in New York with her, and he is so forgettable that Lorelai and Luke have met him several times and they still don't know who he is. Rory is also seeing Logan in London, where he lives. Rory is traveling back and forth between London and the United States for a job. Every time she goes to London, she stays with Logan and they're a thing. But it's Vegas for them. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas because Logan is also seeing someone else. He's actually engaged to a woman named Odette, who's a French heiress. Rory's stress taps, I thought that was totally random and just kind of weird. Lorelai and Luke discuss having a baby, which I kind of like because I always kind of wanted them to have a baby together, but their relationship was always super slow. They kind of keep 2 separate lives, but not. And so the fact that they were discussing having a child together, she'd be 44 years old in this new show. It's getting kind of older to have a baby. So they decide to look at surrogates, which I love that Paris is actually the surrogate doctor. She's a fertility doctor and she runs this company that loans out surrogate mothers. Rory has 3 phones. She has 1 phone for family, 1 phone for friends, 1 phone for work, but then 1 phone when she's in Stars Hollow doesn't work, so her family phone becomes her work phone and her friend phone becomes her family phone, and it's just one big confusing mess and she should just get a better cell phone. Suki left the dragonfly. I was not happy with this. That was Lorelai and Suki's dream to open up the dragonfly together. They're in, and it worked magically and it was beautiful and perfect. And then in this show, they just had Suki up and leave. She took a 6-month sabbatical and then just decided not to come back for 2 years. And they said that her character was developing new plans and she could eat dirt and test something in it just by eating it. I know there was discussion about Melissa McCarthy not coming back to the show, but then in the 4th episode, she's in there. She's totally in the 4th episode. So I didn't like that they had her leave. Rory is living like a hobo vagabond lifestyle. She has boxes at Lorelai's house, Lane's house, her grandmother's house, Logan's house in London, because she left her apartment in Brooklyn and is just kind of drifting from house to house because she doesn't want to have to be tied down anywhere. I didn't like this whole concept because Rory has always been a strict rule person, and it just didn't seem like her character because she was always so goal-driven. So everyone knows by the previews that the grandfather dies, which is incredibly sad, but in this first episode, they didn't say how he died. He was just gone. Spring was super adorable. The first thing I noticed that I really liked was that they had a spring food festival with the basket bidding contest. That happens in like season 2, I think, where Jess bids on Rory's basket and he pays more for it than Dean could afford, and so Jess has to go on the basket date with Rory. Well, they had this basket bidding contest in the spring episode, and Lorelai bids on this woman's basket. Her name is Cassie, and so in one scene, Lorelai's eating Cassie's food and she's like, I know I'm not who you expected to buy your basket, but heck, I did it anyway. So at the spring festival, we see Lane's father. Nowhere in the entire Gilmore Girls show do we see Lane's father. It's only Lane and her mother, even though they say that she has a father and that he's not dead or anything, but we never see him. Even at her wedding, he's not there. At a town hall meeting, Taylor talks about how they're going to host a gay pride parade, but they don't have enough gays in Stars Hollow to walk in the parade. And someone of the town hall meeting says, are you sure you don't know anyone else who could walk in this parade? And then they all go. The original Gilmore Girls show, Kirk creates his first short film. It's called I Love Your Daughter. And in the spring episode, he creates his second film. It's about his pig Petal. Rory has to go to a Chilton alumni event where she gets to see Paris. They give like a lecture to the classes about what their life is like and how the outside world is actually a lot more difficult than Chilton is, so take advantage of Chilton while you can. There is a bathroom scene where they see Tristan. Tristan was originally played by Chad Michael Murray, and Chad Michael Murray was definitely not this Tristan. We only see him for a short second. However, Paris sees him and she drags Rory into the bathroom, and she admits how she's still in love with him and she's never been over him. Someone tries to come in the bathroom and slams the door closed with her foot. Paris is also married to Doyle and they have 2 children, a boy and a girl, but they're getting a divorce. Doyle has become like a screenwriter in Hollywood and has become like so full of himself, and Paris doesn't like it anymore. Rory decides to write a story about lines in New York City for a paper, about people waiting in lines and why they wait in lines and stuff like that. Well, while they're in line for a crow donut, well, they meet this girl named Marcy, and Marcy is played by Mae Whitman. And I don't know if any of you guys know, but Mae Whitman is Amber Holt on Parenthood, and Mae Whitman played Lauren Graham's daughter on Parenthood, so they had like a little scene together, which was kind of cute. And then I loved it. At the very end of this episode, Rory finally breaks her 3 craptastic phones. Things I don't like. In the first 2 episodes, Lorelai and Michelle are hiring these in-between chefs while Suki is not there. Well, in the second episode, Spring, Lorelai and Michelle hire Rachel Ray, and she fires her. While they're in New York City also, Lorelai goes back to the hotel while Rory stands in one more line to ask questions for her interview. And when she comes back to the hotel, she admits to Lorelai that she slept with a Wookiee. Someone dressed in a Wookiee costume because she was in line at like this comic book collectibles store. It was her first one-night stand. And I didn't like that because, like I said before, that's not Rory. That's not who she is. I mean, she's 32 now, and she's only just had her first one-night stand. That doesn't make sense to me, especially because she already has 2 boyfriends, so why would she just cheat on both of them again? And then also while they're in the hotel room, she confesses the whole Logan thing to Lorelai after she blurts out the one-night stand. Summer season. It was hilarious. Lorelai and Rory are sitting at like the community pool. They're sitting on these 2 beach chairs right next to each other, and they have these 2 kids holding umbrellas for them. And Rory taught the one kid to call her Khaleesi from Game of Thrones, which I loved. Yes, Khaleesi, that's what he says to her. They are just like talking, like having a normal conversation about how they don't like coming to the summer pool, when Lorelai shouts, belly alert, and then in front of the camera, these 2 larger men walk by and their stomachs are hanging out of their shirt, and Rory goes, oh crap. I love how they're just sitting there judging people. April's back in this episode. She is like a senior in college studying like physics or something sciencey, and she's about to go to graduate school, and Luke finds out that she smokes pot and how she's going to travel around the United States this summer, going to pot rallies and vying for legalization. Stars Hollow has a 30-something gang. That's what they call them. First of all, I find it weird that they call it a gang because it's Stars Hollow, and they want Rory to be in it because this 30-something gang, they're all 30-something years old, and they have all come back from college and are living on Stars Hollow, and they don't know what to do with their lives, which is what Rory is doing. Speaking of which, because Rory doesn't have a job, the Stars Hollow Gazette is going to shut down, and she volunteers to be the editor. There's a secret bar. I love this idea. So Taylor won't allow the city of Stars Hollow to have he won't let anyone open up a bar as a business. And so they have a secret bar. They have like this little opening. It's like gated. And so there's like these little tables and chairs and a little tiny stage where Hep Alien plays. What I found most funny was that they had a code word for when Taylor was near. They shout 5-0, 5-0, and then everyone stands up, puts all the tables and chairs against the wall. They themselves run to the wall and stand flat against the wall so that no one can see. They close the gates and lock it, and it just goes pitch black, and it's just silent as he walks by. And then as soon as he leaves, everything goes back and the music starts and the lights turn back on and everyone's sitting there drinking their cocktails. There was Hamilton references. Sutton Foster, a Broadway musical star. She starred in Buntheads and Shrek the Musical and all sorts of stuff. Taylor hires her to play in the Stars Hollow musical. They decide at the summer festival that they are going to have a musical about Stars Hollow and its origins, and they hire Sutton Foster to star in it. Jess appears in this episode. Jess. I've always loved Jess. Always. He loved her so much, and he still does. At one point, after he leaves Lorelai's house, he peeks in the window just to watch Rory. He still loves her. Rory and Jess have a drink, and they're talking about how Rory's life is so messed up and she has no idea what she's doing, and Jess tells her to write a book about her and her mom and their life together. Things I didn't like. Hot references with April. I didn't like how they threw that in there. She's a smart girl. She should know not to do drugs. In the town hall meeting, the air conditioner is so loud and noisy and just distracting, and I didn't find that funny. As much as I didn't like Rory dating 2 guys, especially one being Logan, who was engaged, I didn't like it that they broke up. Logan's girlfriend moves in with him, and it was sad. I thought the whole Pacific Crest Trail thing with Lorelai was kind of odd. And so she goes to California to hike, and Luke's like, what? You don't hike. You hate nature. There's bugs. There's dirt. You have to sleep outside. You have to boil your own water from a river. Like, what? And she does it anyway. But she doesn't exactly do it. The first day she goes, they're like, oh, you can go, but there's going to be a storm tonight, so it's going to be really, really, really dangerous. So we recommend that you don't go. So she doesn't go. The next day she goes, and she can't find her permit to go. She doesn't go, and then she just leaves her pack outside a restaurant and says, for free, someone can take it, and she goes back home. I thought it was totally oddball. It got her to clear her mind and decide that Luke was who she wanted, and she asks him to marry her, and he already has a ring. He walks out of the room and comes back with a ring. The last thing I didn't like was that Michelle quits the Dragonfly. He and Frederick, his husband, decide they want to have a child, and that Michelle doesn't make enough money, and so Michelle goes to New York to find another job in another hotel, and when they go to the secret bar, Lorelai and him, to have a drink, he quits. He says that he's giving Lorelai 3 months to find someone else, and then he's done. So now, not only has Michelle left Lorelai, but Suki left her as well. So Lorelai's alone. Her dream. Favorite season. I love autumn, the leaves, it's so pretty. And this was probably my favorite episode as well. The first thing I loved was that Rory goes to the Star's Hollow Gazette one day and it's dark, and then the old lady that she works with has a flashlight and turns it on and lights up her face and goes, "In omnia paratus." And we all know in omnia paratus means the Life and Death Brigade. Then guess who shows up? Logan and Colin and Finn and Robert and Rory. They're all together and they go on an exciting Life and Death Brigade extravaganza. And Logan and Rory are together. He gives her a key to his family's place in Maine and says, "Here, go write your book. Have a place somewhere you can go just to write." Well, she gives it back to him because she decides that she has the perfect place in mind to write her book, her grandfather's study. I think it was the perfect place to write because not only did it remind her of her grandfather, half of the entire Gilmore Girls story took place in that house. Her mother grew up there. All their Friday night dinners. She lived there for a point when she quit Yale. There's so many memories in that house that it probably just flowed out of her like word vomit. When Lorelai decides to go home from the Pacific Crest Trail, she calls her mom and tells a story about her father, and I love the story. It was so sweet, and it really showed that they loved each other even though they didn't have the best relationship. You see 3 new characters in this episode: Christopher, Dean, and Suki. Rory goes to visit Christopher at his office. Dean and Rory go kablang, boom, bang into each other at Dosie's Market, and she's holding cornstarch, and it's just so cute. But Dean's married and has 3 kids, and she's pregnant again. Her name is Jenny. So I love that he's happy. And then Suki finally appears. So Lorelai and Luke are engaged, and Lorelai goes into work one day, and she walks into the kitchen, and the kitchen is covered in these wonderful cakes. They're so beautiful. And all of a sudden she's like, "Suki?" And Suki pops out of nowhere and has like this bag of icing and goes, and she's like, "Ooh, that was pornographic." Oh, and they were so cute for their little reunion. It was the real Melissa McCarthy, and it was so exciting that she was there. It was perfect, but she was only in there for like a minute, so that was kind of sad. The last thing that I really liked about this episode was that Lorelai and Luke gave their decorations to Kirk to decorate the town square, and they were just really simple decorations. And after he goes to the town square to decorate, he comes back to Lorelai's house and is like, "I messed up, guys." He's like, "I just couldn't help myself, and I went above and beyond, and there's glitter and there's lights and there's everything, and I ruined your day, and I'm sorry." But then they get there and it is so beautiful. It's just so beautiful and perfect for their special day. And then they don't even decide to get married on the day that they're gonna get married. They go the night before. They go to the gazebo, and the priest marries Luke and Lorelai right then and there. But they go there and they get married before anyone else can see them because they don't want to change their mind, and they just want it to be them, and they just want to get it over with already, and it's so romantic, it's so sweet. And then the bomb drops. I have so many feelings about this bomb that dropped at the end of the episode. In all these episodes, Rory is like 32 years old. It's like 9 or 10 years after the original series ended, and she's not married, she doesn't have kids, she's seeing 2 guys, and she doesn't know what she's doing with her life, she has no career, it's not going where she wanted it to. And then the bomb drops, and she's pregnant. And then the first thing that came to my mind was, whose is it? Logan's? I mean, there's gotta be more episodes, right? I mean, they can't just leave it like that. There has to be more coming. Something I loved and hated was that Emily got kicked out of the DAR. So Emily goes through like this terrible point in her life during these 4 movies, and she's dealing with the death of Richard, the grandfather, and in this episode, Emily decides to sell her house. She moves somewhere called Nantucket and decides to sell a house because it doesn't bring her joy and she's not happy there. She can't be happy there without Richard because that was her life and she wants to move on. And so she sells the house, and that's a very sad moment for me, for Lorelai, for Rory, for all the Gilmore Girls fans, because like I said before, half the series took place in that house. Other things I had for you, there was no theme song, which makes sense because they were movies, not TV show episodes, but I kind of thought they'd put that in there because, you know, the previews, the theme song was in there. I really enjoyed the storyline, the plot of the 4 movies. They all tied really nicely together. It flowed smoothly, even though it was 4 completely separate holidays and 4 different time jumps. It was mainly about Rory and how she didn't know where she was going in her life. Her world was just coming to like a halt, and she was so confused and stressed and just didn't know what to do with herself. And I can relate to that extremely well in my personal life. So I really connected with her a lot, just like I did in the original show. Lorelai was the same as ever. She had attachment issues, and it was so finally good to see her happy, tie the knot at the end. Emily was depressing. I have mixed emotions about her character in this show because I can't relate. I'm not older. I haven't lost my husband. I can't imagine what she was feeling, but I think that they explored that really, really well. I think that there is definitely going to be more movies or episodes, whatever you want to call them. They can't just leave us hanging like they did. I mean, it will literally kill me. You guys just tell me what you think. Tell me how much you loved it. What was your favorite season, episode? Who was your favorite character? Leave a comment below. Like this video. Give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to me if you want to see more videos like this. See you next time. Laters!